Hello, welcome back to Radio Free Estonia, the internet's number 45 most trusted source for unreliable historical information. Thank you for sticking with us, our paid subscribers and dilettantes. I've been thinking about a lot of things. Obviously, it's a time of devils and demons. We don't even have to get into what's happening in Gaza, but it's unsettling. Everything's unsettling. But what I was thinking about, and I'm saying this. Look, I'm very firmly on the left. I'm in one of the identity categories that will probably be shipped to the camps if such a thing happens. But I've been thinking a lot about like the last 10 years. It's 2025, so 2015 would be 10 years ago, right? And I think that there's an argument to be made that some of the things that happened on the left were not super productive. I mean, defund the police to me sounds like one of the worst slogans of all time. People watch NCIS, CSI, it's Law and Order, CSQYX. Every single TV show is either about heroic doctors or heroic cops. People, I'm not saying this is right, but like people love the fucking cops. And so, if that's your argument, then a lot of people are not going to agree or trust you. I mean, I want the police to be defunded. I want the whole criminal justice system to be changed and close to abolished. I mean, I always think it's kind of funny that like very left-wing people are like, oh, we want to abolish prisons, but they're like, but we want Jeffrey Epstein to be in prison, or like a sex predator, whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, people have conflicting ideological commitments. That's obviously just the name of the game. But I do think that in that window of time between about 2015 and maybe 2023, there were these, very epical, very profound and intense movements about Me Too and BLM, that brought a lot of people to a consciousness of things that they didn't know about before. And that was really, I think Donald Trump actually triggered a lot of that. These are things that might not have happened. I mean, the murder of George Floyd obviously had a huge amount to do with it, but there's Eric Garner, there's Trayvon Martin. There's lots of reasons why this would have happened. But it happened when it did because there was a sense that, there's this evil person in the White House. And that white supremacy is reigning supreme. And misogyny is reigning supreme. Out of that, I do think that, I want to put this the right way, but there was a certain amount of maybe groupthink and sort of pressure to conform among progressive left liberal circles, and projected outward to the general public, which, if you go around telling everybody that all white people are evil and stupid and awful and they should be blamed for everything that's ever happened, if you say that to people, they're probably going to be like, I don't want to vote for you because you just said I was evil. And and that's not like a judgment on like the content of the strategy, but like, yeah, like if you tell people they're awful and they're irredeemable, like they're not going to vote for you. I think we saw that in 2016 and 2024. And I'm not saying that we should like not advance critiques of racism, misogyny, and ethnocentrism and Eurocentrism and whatnot, or homophobia. But, you know, it's possible that the attitude of the left in the late 20-teens was perceived as exclusionary by some people. The people that you need to win Michigan and Pennsylvania. You know, I just think back to like, you know, Obama, which was a very unifying, in his 2 elections, a very unifying positive message. It wasn't a dividing negative message. And I do understand why in response to Trump, like we would have a negative dividing message because what was happening was so bad and what's happening now is actually magnitudes of order like worse. Yeah, I really I've had to think about this because you know, my folks, my mom and my stepdad, were initially skeptical of Black Lives Matter. They're like, oh well, you know, if you just are polite and decent, the cops won't do anything bad to you. They came around, like they started to understand that like that things are different if you're a white boy versus a black boy who's pulled over by the police. They took the time to really think about it, and like they started to understand. And you know, they asked me and my former partner, you know, like, well, what are we supposed to think now? They were open-minded. And I think that's possible for lots of people. But it's not possible when you just tell everybody that they're horrible and bad. Like, this is why the basket of deplorables thing with Hillary Clinton was so bad. Because it does actually show an elite liberal disdain for like normal people. I know what she was trying to say, but like, you're telling half the population that they're bad. And when they don't vote for you, then you get really surprised and like shocked. So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely more of like a class first socialist type of person. I mean, that's not to diminish whatsoever, you know, the historic legacies of racism and discrimination and misogyny and colonialism and all that, like 100%. But I think that, you know, if there's any possibility of having a winning coalition, it's not going to be with humorless scolds who say, oh, well, you said Latino versus Latinx or something. Like, you know, I don't even know how much like normal people even think about this stuff. Like, or I don't think it even floats on the radar of like the average voter in Iowa or Ohio or Illinois or North Carolina. But there is this sense that like there's this judgy, scolding, honestly left-wing culture that people bristle against. And I don't think that's good for us. I don't think it's good for the country. I don't think it's good for the left. That's one of the reasons why I love the dirtbag left of, you know, Chapo Trap House and those type of people, because they're like, or like, you know, TrueAnon or something, because they're just, you know, real balls to the wall, like very frank and very direct. And they don't like really worry about the niceties of things. And I think that speaks to people. I think that's the reason why people love Bernie Sanders, because he just told it like it was, and it was straight. I think Bernie could have won in 2016 because you're choosing between one guy who tells it straight and the other guy who tells it straight. Unfortunately, we had Hillary, who would seem like she's lying when she says she loves her daughter. Like it's a very unfortunate. Like, the least telling it straight person in the history of the world. I think Bernie could have won that because people were fed up and pissed off about the way things were. But we were stuck with Hillary because of the Democratic Party machine. Anyway, that's just a few little thoughts, little granola granules from my head shavings. I don't know. I mean, if I'm getting it wrong, just comment or tweet it or whatever. Like, I could be very wrong. But I do think, I've always believed in the left as a very inclusive and broad circus, tent, movement, whatever. And I don't necessarily think that some of the political culture of the late 20-teens expressed that to people. I think it felt like you were in a Stalinist cult. Like, you have to say the right words, you have to do this, that, and the other. That's not how you win elections, as we've obviously seen. So I guess that's it. Anyway, I'll see you on the flip side. Hopefully I'll be more tan next time. But anyway, bye-bye.